thanks for joining me. I want to show you a really easy way to repair fondant tears. I know it's something that we all encounter at some point, and the typical thing is to say, oh, I'm just going to put a flower there, but it may not be in your design. You may want a seamless look, and sometimes you're going to just have that tear if it's because the fondant was dry or you were just a little aggressive with it. Something happens, you need to repair it. So I've got a couple of examples here. I covered it with a red fondant, and let's say you have a really specific color that you mixed. You could go back with royal icing and try to color that royal icing and try to fill that, but it's not going to be exact. So here's a really great tip that I have. All I do is I take the same fondant that I cut off that I used, and I put it in a bowl with a little bit of water, a couple drops at a time, and I'll just keep smoothing it out until it's like the consistency of icing. And you want to make sure that's mixed really well so it is nice and smooth and pipeable. Not too thin so that it's runny, but thin enough so that you can pipe it and it comes out nicely. I'll just pipe a little bit here on the edge here so you can see that it's going to hold its shape nicely. And that is just thinned down fondant with water. I didn't add anything else to it. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, so I made a little tear here. What you want to do is kind of use your fondant smoother and pull the fondant towards the tear from either side so that you make that little cavity as small as you possibly can. So that's the first thing that you want to do. And then next you're going to take your piping icing that you just made out of fondant, and you're just going to fill the little cavity, okay? And then just with a little bit more water, not too much, you don't want to make this too soggy, but just kind of wet your fingertips so that it slides over it. You're going to kind of spackle that into place, and it's really going to hide that tear nicely. This also works really great. So like here I left it a little bit high, and now I'm forced to put a border there. But if I don't want to put a border there, just use that same piping icing that you just made to kind of fill that gap. And then using the same method with the water, again, not too much, just enough to make it smooth, you're going to fill that out. Now it's a little bit shiny right now, but as soon as that water dries, it's going to be nice and smooth and it's going to look seamless again. All right, so I'm just finishing off this last bit of this border here, and then you also want that nice and clean. So I'm just going to take a nice little paintbrush with a little bit of water, dabbing off the excess, and you can just go back and clean that up to make sure it's nice and straight edged. And again, this water is going to dry and the shine will go away so that it matches the rest of the fondant. But I think if you'll use your fondant that you actually used on the cake and just thin it down with water to use as your pipeable icing to fix tears, it's going to be a perfect match instead of trying to go back and match like a royal icing to fill in those gaps. Again, the perfect situation would be not to make the tear in the first place, but if you do come across these tears, there's a really easy way to fix it and no fret to it. So that's it. Thanks for watching.